Hello everybody, it's Jenny McGarvey and I'm here to share with you today how I created this page using the Scraptastic Kit Club, the Girl Kit. As you can see, I had my kit all ready to go inside that white tray. It's where I keep all of my kits together. I use a couple of smaller pieces to collate all of the embellishments, but I keep them all inside that big white tray. Now, as you can see, I've pulled out 3 of the patterned papers from the kit because I know that those are the ones that I want to work with. I'm going to use that light green one on the bottom for the background paper, and then I'm going to use these other 3 that you see for accents and just for layering. Now, I'm using the one with the text on it that I just set down as sort of the base of the text, and it does have a very similar color scheme to the background paper, which I like. It gives it kind of a monochromatic look. You do notice the difference between the two, but it's not shocking or a whole lot of contrast. And those other 2 papers with the tiny hearts and the polka dots, they provide the contrast that I'm looking for with the photo and the overall design on the page. Now I'm going to go ahead and start trimming those other 2 up. I already have an idea in my head about how I want them to look, so this really shouldn't be a long process at all. Now, as you can see, I've switched the design from being top heavy to moving it all down towards the bottom, and I've pulled out my photo as well, and I'm going to start layering around it. Now I've cut that strip of the tiny heart paper, which is super sweet, and I've layered it behind that polka dot paper and the photo of my dog as well. Now, as you can see, I have a real strong design going right now at the bottom of the page, and it's feeling really whole and complete the way that it is after I switch that tiny strip of pink paper down. So I'm going to just go ahead and adhere it all to the background paper. I like how it looks. It feels really good and it feels cohesive, and the design works for me. This is often how I adhere all of my pieces together. I just use a small tape runner and just lift corners and adhere pieces together that way without removing everything and trying to get things back together the way that I had them. I absolutely could do that, but when I'm really happy with the design, I like to leave it as is so that I don't have to try to recreate the look again. Now I'm cutting a couple of triangles out of scraps of paper from this kit, just out of white cardstock, and then that red and pink alphabet paper, and I'm using little triangles instead of other shapes to try to kind of balance all of the circles on this page. With all of the circle elements, I felt like we could use some hard lines to go with the lines of all of the rectangles of patterned paper. I don't know if it's true, if it needed it or not, but you know, it felt good and it looks good to me too, so it works perfectly. Now I'm going to use those Chamel rub-ons, finding one that fits my theme, which would be that cute little camera, and I'm going to go ahead and rub that right onto that white triangle that I created just from a scrap of white patterned paper, probably from a previous project or whatever. Now I'm just using a random tool from my stash of tools that I have in a cup sitting nearby on my workspace. I don't like the way that the rub-ons feel when I use the wood popsicle stick. I have no idea why. I just don't prefer that feeling, so I use other rub-on tools that I have in my stash. Now that the triangles are set down at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and start embellishing the page. Now the butterfly die cut that comes in the girl kit is perfect for this page because I wouldn't ordinarily use something so feminine and specifically butterflies because they are not my favorite. But I figured, you know, my dog is a girl. I might as well go ahead and use some of those really feminine embellishments that I wouldn't ordinarily use on pages, and I might as well go ahead and use them right here on this particular page, right? So I'm pulling out some of the bits and pieces that feel like it might work for this page for me, and I'm just getting them all started, including one of those pink bows, which again is one of those things that I wouldn't normally use, but it works great on this page. Now, as you can see right there, I used a Martha Stewart glue pen. I use it quite a bit for sequins. It's perfect. I'm going to place a white star sequin from Studio Calico that came in the kit right down there on that paper. And I like the way that it works for sequins. It adheres them well and it dries pretty quickly. So it really works out great for sequins. I know that you could absolutely use them for wood and veneers as well. I don't usually use them that way because I usually just use a little tape runner, but you could absolutely use the glue pen instead. Now I'm going through all of those Heidi Swap die cuts. It feels like there's a million of them, and there's that package. It's really plentiful. I'm looking for that particular one that I just pulled out, which has a navy background, and in pink it says Friends Forever. It is absolutely perfect for this page about my dog, and it fits the color scheme as well. So it's kind of the perfect layering piece. And I also pulled out another one that I will probably use as well on this page. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of embellishments pulled out already, and I won't use them all, but that's kind of what I like to do. I like to pull out a whole bunch of things that I think might work, and then when I get to work setting them down and getting them all placed, I can weed out the ones that aren't going to work on that particular layout. So now that I know that looks good and I like the way that it looks, I'm going to go ahead and adhere it down behind those other patterned papers with mostly just the Friends Forever sticking out. I love the contrast that provides on the right side and then also the sentiment as well. Now that happy banner wood veneer is so cute, and it would have absolutely been perfect as well on a card for like a happy birthday card, but it's just perfect on this page, which is all about my dog smiling. So it's wonderful, and I'm really excited to have had that this month and be able to use it on this particular page. Also, that butterfly paper clip is not something that I would have ordinarily found myself reaching for, since I don't tend to use a whole lot of butterflies in my designs. However, this one was absolutely perfect, and it worked great on this page about my dog. And I'm pulling out another tiny little die cut from that Heidi Swap pack of a million die cuts, and I'm going to tuck it up underneath right there, as you can see, the paper clip, and it's just absolutely perfect, and I love it. And I love how it balances the dark blue on that side of the page as well as that other right side where I put that Friends Forever die cut as well. So it really just turns out fantastic. Now I've got a lot of the elements adhered, and now I'm going to use a glue dot and adhere down that flare that came in the kit as well, that's exclusive. Now as you can see here, this is how I use the tape runner on my wood veneer. This one is a little bit more difficult because of the open spaces in the center for the rows, and then also that's not normally the tape runner that I use for wood veneers. I usually use a small thermo web one. This is a Sticky Thumb from Lifestyle Crafts, and it's wonderful and super sticky, but it's not my favorite for wood veneers. Now I'm going to add a couple of more of the white Studio Calico sequin stars with that Martha Stewart glue pen, and just to balance the one that I put on the other side. And then, really honestly, the page is pretty well embellished for the bulk of the main design. I will add some embellishing right around the title work, but for the most part, this is pretty well done. That's one of the Heidi Swap stickers, and as you can see, I'm leaving those out because the rings around the outside of the stickers will be used in my title work. I absolutely love the idea, and it would have been so fun to sort of layer things around and that kind of thing. I really enjoy the colors in those, and like I said, the rings around the outside of the stickers are just super cute and really lend a fun sort of lighter feel to the page. They don't take up as much visual space. Now, as you can see, I've gone through my stash of thickers and I've looked for one that will work on this particular page. It's got a white background with a sort of an aqua grid on it, and then it's got that cursive. So there you go. That's where I'm placing those rings from the Heidi Swap, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do a part of the title with the thickers, and then I will also pull out those pink paisley glittery alphas to do the bulk of the title. Now, as you can see, I used a couple of those rings already, and I will add another one once I'm finished with my title work. They all worked really well together and created an interesting title, though I will say I didn't do my typical where I sort of make them all a little bit messier, the title work, and it was a lot harder to do, and it didn't turn out looking quite as well, though the theme of this page didn't lend itself to the more whimsical feeling title, so I didn't do it this time. But, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is the Scraptastic Kit Club, the Girl Kit in the September 2014 offerings, and you can pick all of these up at www.scraptasticclub.com, and I hope you enjoyed how I made this page. Love to see you smile. And I hope you will stop by for future videos, and if you enjoyed it, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would super appreciate it. Thank you so much, and make it a fantastic day.